are listening to the Pathfinder Guru Podcast, where we help you to become a greater leader. Join us as we take the Advent message to all the world in our generation. So, are you ready to become a guru in this ministry?
Attention. Welcome to the Pathfinder Guru Podcast, and thank you very much for joining us. I hope that you're doing well and you are safe under the shadow of God's wonderful wings. I hope that you're well and you're safe. But in today's topic, I am very much troubled, very much disturbed about what we are going to talk about. In today's episode, I don't know what to title this episode. I've been thinking about it as I was preparing it, but I really don't know what to title it. But I want us to talk about the senior youth. I know that in the church we have the junior youth and we have the senior youth. And on my TikTok, I spoke about it and I created a photo whereby we have a mother playing with a child while there's another child drowning. Then at the bottom of it, there is a skeleton of a person sitting on a chair in the deep water, meaning that the person is already drowned and died. Now we are having the mother, which is a church, which is the Pathfinder adventurer. Then we have the ambassador ministry, which is a child that is drowning, about to drown. Then we have the young adults who are now already in the deep sea, skeletons. And I'm wondering to myself, as I created that poster, my question was, where is the senior youth? Number one. Number two, what is the church doing about this issue? And how can we step in also as the junior youth to also assist the senior youth? Because at many a time, we are heavily invested in Pathfinder and Adventurer. But one thing that we forget is that after that, we are having ambassador and we are having young adults. And that is the backbone of the church, which is leaders of tomorrow. As I've spoken on my other podcast, when we say Pathfinders today, leaders tomorrow. But when they become leaders, we are now abandoning them and leaving them to drown because we are no longer bothered, we are no longer invested as we were in Pathfinder. And this is some of the questions which I've been asking myself. Now, when I'm wondering about this, I'm questioning myself to say, number one, what is the church doing about this? Because now as a church, it is our primary goal, and I'm speaking at local church level, because at the end of the day, if we are not attacking the local churches to deal with this issue, then we're going to have a problem. Now, as local churches, as church boards, as leaders in the church, what are we saying when we see young people not being there, young people not being active, young people no longer volunteering themselves, willing to take up serious roles? You call a young adult to come and do just a simple thing like a mission report or to facilitate the Sabbath school lesson. It becomes a mission because these people are now detached from the church somehow. Others, even if they are there, but they are not welcome, they are not free, they are not willing, because the church and its systems sometimes creates a barrier between the young generation and the older generation that we need to deal with. Because when you are a Pathfinder and an adventurer, I always say, for Pathfinders and adventurers, you can plan for them, you can do certain things for them. But when you go to young adults, if they are not interested, they are not interested. And there's nothing that you're going to do about it. So you need to work with them. You need to plan with them and execute with them, which is slightly different to the junior youth ministry. So these are questions that I'm asking myself. What is the church doing? What are interventions are we as church leaders are going to implement to ensure children, not even children, young adults in this case, are safe under the shadow of God's wonderful wings? Number two, us as young adults, what are we doing about it? Are we taking up an active role at our church? What is our resources? What are we doing? Because sometimes I can blame a church at a certain limit, but also we need to look at us to say we need to be accountable. We need to be responsible and we need to take an active role. When you are working at a job, you are always volunteering yourself. You're always going above and beyond. And this is what we want. I understand that sometimes it is not favorable for you to be there. Sometimes the older folks can be some sort of, I don't know how to put it, but they become over parents, so to say, and they don't see you as an adult. They picture you as a Pathfinder, as an adventurer. But that does not mean that you need to leave the church. I love it when pastors, I can't recall the pastor or which sermon, it's better to be a problem but still inside the church. It's better to have a drinking problem but you are inside the church. It's better for you to be struggling and being unemployed and not knowing what to do with your life. You are at a turning point where you don't know what to do, but you are inside the church. Don't find yourself wandering off, because the world will entertain you. And once the world entertain you, you'll be gone. So this is just something I just say. Be happy in the Lord. Cry in the Lord. Suffer in the Lord, so that when God steps in, when God shows up in your life as a young adult, you are able to celebrate and be joyful that you were in the Lord. Do not leave the church. It's hard. Sometimes your opinions don't matter. Sometimes they don't see the vision, Sometimes it becomes difficult. I remember when I was trying to implement this thing of media, of us now posting things on social media, it was shut down. And the answer was, we have a secretary of the church. I'm like, I understand, but can we have a communication team that will be dealing with social media, that will be dealing with all those things? Even today, it's still a problem. There's this barrier. There's this thing that we need to come as young adults, bridge the gap between the older folks and us, so that we are the leaders of tomorrow one day, because we will be at their shoes. There will be other young adults that will give us the same things. But once we say, let us be in the Lord, let us not move, then we are safe under the shadow of God's wonderful wings. We have a problem whereby there is no transition now. Remember, I spoke about it, about having a smooth transition between the junior youth and the senior youth. But now we have that transition between junior youth and senior youth, which now we're having Pathfinder, Adventurer, Ambassador, Young Adults. And after that, that's where leaders need to take an active role. We need elders from these young people. We need women ministry leaders. We need them. But now if that transition is broken, and if as young people we leave and we give up, and if the church, we're not taking an active role to ensure that does not happen, we are losing ourselves, and we are going to find ourselves answering for things that we do not understand. Take some time, re-evaluate yourself, and understand that you've been called with a greater purpose. You matter. You are valuable as a young adult. Your opinions matter. With your qualification, with everything that you've went through, whether you've went to school, whether you've went to anywhere, you are a young adult and we need you. And do not give up. And if the older folks don't see where you're going, don't see the vision that you have, it does not mean that you need to give up in the church and in the Lord. Pray to God. You have God. Pray. Say, God, I want to implement this beautiful thing that will save the church, that will help us in the community. Help me so that my elders, my church board, to be able to see what I'm trying to do and follow through. Life is not going to be easy. But once you have God on your side, you are done. Don't give up. Have faith in God. And you will become a leader. And you will remember all your Pathfinder days, all your ambassador days, all your young adult days. And you will become a leader that will now say, I will not be a leader that will gatekeep or block young people, but I will open, because you have experience, you have been through this junior youth and senior youth ministries. Be part of this. Stand up. Your church needs you. Let go the spiritual tourism of going to events, program to program. Create your own fun at your own local church. Where you are, that's where you are needed, at your community. It is up to you to rise up and to close all doors and look your eyes on Calvary, where your hope is found. But for now, as you're thinking about this and praying to God to show you the light, and understand that you are called by God. But for now, you are dismissed.